We all know the names: Rockefeller, Carnegie, Ford, the men America loves to celebrate as self-made millionaires. But buried beneath their stories are others. Men and women who built empires despite a system designed to keep them invisible. These weren't just business owners. They were revolutionaries, dreamers, and survivors. And though history tried to erase their names, their legacies refused to die. This is the story of the other wealthy builders, the Black entrepreneurs who created empires in a world that fought to keep them invisible. Today, we reveal 12 Black millionaires America tried to erase their triumphs, their battles, and the systemic forces that tried to wipe them from our memory. Because truth demands remembrance. Paul Cuff, 1759 to 1817, the sea captain who defied black bonds. Paul was born free from slavery in Massachusetts to an Ashanti father and Wampanoag mother. Paul Cuff built ships, sailed trade routes, and became one of the wealthiest colored men of his time. A term of choice used for people of African descent during this period and beyond. His success challenged the very foundations of race and commerce, because in his era, black men weren't allowed the rights of citizenship or equal opportunity. When he refused to pay taxes, arguing that free blacks taxed without representation were treated as second-class citizens, he was jailed. He used his wealth not just for trade, but to support integrated schools, a smallpox hospital, and to advocate for resettling freed Black Americans in Africa. Paul Cuff. Why was he nearly erased? Because his existence contradicted the story of Black inferiority. A Black sea captain, merchant and philanthropist in the age of slavery, threatened the myth of white supremacy. He reminds us, even when laws and society were stacked, Black ingenuity still found a way. In the 1800s, on the corner of capitalism's playground, one man did what almost no Black person with his background dared to do. Jeremiah G. Hamilton amassed a fortune, by some estimates, the equivalent of $250 million today. He was known as Wall Street's first Black trader, but his story is almost lost. Why? Because he operated in the shadows, partly by necessity, partly by design. In his era, a Black millionaire made whites uncomfortable and erased textbooks, avoided his name. In the 1863 New York draft riots, a white mob broke into his house to lynch him. His wife deflected them with liquor and cigars. Hamilton's brilliance and audacity forced a reckoning with racial assumptions that threatened the prevailing order. So, his place in history was diminished. She became the first Black female millionaire in America. Before Rosa Parks, before Harriet Tubman became a legend, there was Mary Ellen Pleasant. Born enslaved in the early 1800s, Pleasant moved to San Francisco during the gold rush. But instead of mining gold, she mined opportunity. She became a savvy investor, a business owner, and a silent partner in multiple enterprises, amassing a fortune worth over $30 million in today's dollars. But her greatest legacy wasn't wealth, it was justice. She secretly funded the Underground Railroad, helping enslaved people escape to freedom, and financed civil rights lawsuits decades before the movement had a name. Yet the white press called her a voodoo woman, twisting her image to erase her power. She financed the landmark Pleasant versus North Beach and Mission Railroad case, fighting segregation decades before many recognized the term civil rights. America wanted to forget her because she represented what a Black woman with money and influence looked like: unstoppable. Her name should be on monuments, but most Americans have never heard it. Robert Reed Church, the banker who rebuilt the South. After the Civil War left the South in ashes, one man dared to rebuild it, brick by brick. Robert Reed Church, born enslaved in Mississippi, became the first black millionaire of the South. While others fled the violence of Memphis, Church bought land when white property owners abandoned it. When mobs burned down black businesses, he rebuilt, not with rage, but with strategy. He founded the Solvent Savings Bank and Trust, a lifeline for black entrepreneurs. For thousands of freedmen and women, Church wasn't just a banker, he was a gateway to independence. But after his death, his contributions were deliberately ignored by local historians. His name never made it into the textbooks, yet his influence shaped the black middle class that followed. But his story isn't widely taught. Why? Because his success contradicted the narrative that black prosperity in the South was impossible without white aid. Church showed black independence, and independence threatened systemic control. Annie Turnbow Malone, the beauty empire pioneer. Before there was Madam C.J. Walker, there was Annie Turnbow Malone, a chemist, inventor, and educator. She built a haircare empire from scratch and trained thousands of women to become financially independent. Born in 1869 to parents who had been enslaved, Annie had a gift for science and business. At a time when black women had few opportunities, she developed haircare products specifically designed for black hair, something unheard of back then. Her company, Poro College, wasn't just a beauty school. It was a business university, a community center, and a symbol of black pride. At her peak, Malone was worth the equivalent of hundreds of millions of dollars today. But jealousy, lawsuits, and exploitation robbed her of her legacy. Even today, people credit her student, Madam C.J. Walker, as the pioneer, while Malone's name fades quietly in history's shadows. But make no mistake, she was the blueprint. Madam C.J. Walker, the self-made legend. Her story has been told, but rarely in full. Born Sarah Breedlove in 1867, the daughter of former slaves, Madam C.J. Walker built her business from nothing but determination and faith. She suffered from hair loss and turned that pain into a product line, one that would revolutionize the beauty industry. She built an international network of sales agents, teaching women business, discipline, and dignity. But her true genius was her system. She created one of the first direct sales networks in America, long before the word entrepreneur was mainstream. She once said, "I got my start by giving myself a start." And in that sentence lies the truth about every name on this list. Self-made, self-taught, self-empowered. Her wealth inspired generations, but her struggle reminds us how high the climb truly was. She traveled city to city, teaching women how to sell, lead, and believe in themselves. She employed over 20,000 women during a time when black women were told their only place was in someone else's kitchen. Madam Walker wasn't just a millionaire. She was proof that self-reliance is the most powerful rebellion of all. A G. Gaston, the quiet power behind the civil rights movement. While others marched in the streets, a G. Gaston funded the movement from behind the scenes. Born in poverty in 1892, Gaston turned a $500 loan into an empire of insurance companies, motels, and real estate worth over $130 million in today's money. But what made him truly powerful wasn't his wealth, it was his wisdom. He secretly paid bail for arrested protesters and provided meeting spaces for activists while avoiding the spotlight. Yet when historians tell the story of the civil rights era, his name is often missing. Gaston proved that quiet power can move mountains. even if the world refuses to give you credit.
The world is in peril, but you can save it by subscribing, so my work can reach the minds of others like you. Subscribe now. John H. Johnson, the media mogul who defined Black America. Before social media gave a voice to the voiceless, there was John H. Johnson, the man who made Black America visible. He founded Ebony and Jet magazines during an era when mainstream media ignored or distorted Black life. He showcased excellence, from doctors and models to activists and kings. When Jet published the open casket photo of Emmett Till, it ignited a national movement. Johnson became one of the richest Black men in America, yet his story rarely appears in history lessons. He didn't just build magazines, he built mirrors, showing Black people the power of their reflection.
Reginald Lewis, the billion-dollar barrier breaker. In the 1980s, one man stormed Wall Street and refused to play small. Reginald F. Lewis, a Harvard Law graduate and visionary businessman, bought Beatrice Foods International for nearly $1 billion. He became the first Black man in American history to build $1 billion company. His motto was simple: keep going, no matter what. Lewis broke barriers so high, they tried to close the door behind him. But his story isn't just about money. It's about mindset. He taught that legacy is built by those who refuse to accept invisibility.
Michael Lee-Chin, the Caribbean Black billionaire investor. Though born in Jamaica, Michael Lee-Chin built his investment firm in Canada and became one of the wealthiest Black men in North America, a billionaire. His global investments, his philanthropy and education and culture, his Caribbean roots, all challenge the idea that Black people can't build generational wealth. Yet his story remains lesser known in the Black millionaire narrative because global Black success doesn't fit the narrow US template.
Berry Gordy Jr., born 1929, the music mogul who made Black art global. Berry Gordy Jr. founded Motown Records, turning Black music into a global phenomenon, generating millions, influencing culture, and building an entertainment empire. But his story of wealth is often told as creative success, not business power. Why? Because when a Black man builds cultural wealth, the economic aspect is downplayed, keeping the focus on art rather than enterprise. Gordy reminds us, when Black art becomes business, it becomes power, and power challenges the status quo. O.W. Gurley, 1867 to 1935, the founder of Black Wall Street. In 1906, O.W. Gurley purchased 40 acres in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and sold it exclusively to Black families and entrepreneurs, creating the Greenwood District, aka Black Wall Street. From that seed grew a miracle called Greenwood, a self-sustaining Black metropolis with over 600 businesses, barbershops, banks, restaurants, newspapers, schools, and luxury hotels. O.W. Gurley built the Gurley Hotel, the first Black-owned hotel in Tulsa, and helped dozens of other families open their own businesses. Then came 1921. A white mob destroyed Greenwood, burning businesses, homes, and dreams. Over 300 Black lives lost. Wealth erased, communities shattered, Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City. They called it Negro Wall Street. Even Booker T. Washington praised it as a model for Black self-reliance. In an era of lynchings, poll taxes, and Jim Crow laws, O.W. Gurley was proving that Black excellence didn't need permission. But prosperity breeds envy, and racism turns envy into violence. In May 1921, a false accusation against a young Black man ignited a white mob. Over 18 hours, Greenwood was bombed from the air and burned from the ground. Churches, homes, and businesses were torched. Over 300 people murdered. Thousands left homeless. And then came the second violence: silence. For decades, newspapers and school books never mentioned what happened in Tulsa. O.W. Gurley's name was stripped from records. The city buried its own shame. Yet the spirit of O.W. Gurley lives on in every black entrepreneur, in every community that dares to build in the face of systemic walls. His legacy whispers through time. They can burn our buildings, but they can't burn our blueprints. O.W. Gurley showed us what happens when we own our land, our labor, and our legacy, and why systems of racism worked so hard to erase him. Because he proved the truth: we were never broken, only betrayed. Never trust thine enemies and weaponize next time. Why was it erased from history? Because the destruction of black wealth challenged the myth of black inferiority, and the system preferred to bury the fact that black success could exist, could thrive, and was violently suppressed.